Zoom. So we have this recording. Holy moly, we are techie as techie can be. But hello, what we're going to be doing is going into a mini training on unrealistic health embodiment. Yeah, so I have Facebook going up, I have Zoom going up, I have Instagram. So if my eyes are kind of all over the place, that's what's up. But if you're watching live, let me know, say hello. Or comment the replay below on Facebook and even on Instagram too. I know I don't really watch live, so like if you pop in, pop out, that's totally fine. But I did want to give a mini training that I think would be really, really important to hear about this whole concept of unrealistic health embodiment. So right now I have a program going out about becoming unrealistic in our health, becoming unrealistic in the things that we want, becoming this unrealistic version of ourselves and not saying that we're wrong because of it, not blaming or shaming and faulting ourselves for possibly experiencing this desire, this dream, or having these ambitions, these wants that a lot of the times they seem superficial. They seem materialistic. They seem unattainable. They seem unrealistic. And I'll talk more about this of just kind of my own concept and my own thought process around how we've been using this term, it's unrealistic, as a defense mechanism, honestly, as a way of just like when we say something's unrealistic, but deep down we want it, we desire it, there's a pull. Sometimes we might say, okay, it's like societal standards to make us want to look a certain way, to make us feel like we have to look a certain way, to make us feel like we need to be losing a certain amount of pounds or a certain or just acting a certain way, being we should be this, right? And so we say that's unrealistic to counter that, to be like, you know what, these are pushed societal standards onto us that we did not agree to. So I totally understand that point. And I think there is some untangling to be had around that, where when there is a societal standard of what's unrealistic and you feel like you should be like that, but you don't really want to, or it's kind of been crafted into your narrative of what you feel like you should be like, but you don't know why, or you're blaming and shaming and faulting yourself in doing that, or you're crushing yourself, or you're allowing your self-worth to be crushed by that, when you're allowing your confidence to be tied to the attainment of that, then that's where we have a problem. That's the problem. But that is our reality. It's our reality. I remember reading when I was making or creating my thesis on body image. I remember reading a book that was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it was wrote in the 80s about body image and how we've had imagery that have been pushed onto us for so many years. So it's our reality, honestly, that this is where we're being told. This is what it is. And so it's actually unrealistic to say, I want a different approach. It's unrealistic to say, okay, you know what? I have this desire, I have this dream, I have this want that I know that I can have. And it's unrealistic for me to actually believe in it. It's unrealistic for me to say, like, I can do this. And it's unrealistic to say it in a way of, I'm going to do this in an approach where I'm not going to shame myself or hurt myself or harm myself or feel like I should be something better. I'm going to do it with love through the walk, through the walk, through the walk. So with that, though, I do want to give a training about what I feel like would be so helpful in going about this walk, in leading yourself on this walk. Because there are certain ways and constructs, there's a lot that we can do, right? When we say I want to lose weight, when I want to be in a certain body type, when I want to have a certain level of confidence, when I want to have my hot girl summer, there's like things that we feel like we should be doing. Drinking the water, exercising a certain way, eating a certain way. And there's so much good information out there. There's so much good information out there. And there's also so much awful information out there as well too. There's great nutritionists to follow. There's great dietitians to follow that really know food and understand the balance of macros and micros and proteins and like all the things, carbohydrates and fats. And there's also some awful people around that too. So it's like, how do we navigate this? How do we navigate this in a way that we know it's right for us? That's an embodiment of where, like, no matter what is coming at you, no matter what you're seeing, whether that's imagery or information out there, if you're reading about new research that's coming out, because there's so much research coming out all the time, if you're reading about body image, if you're seeing a certain body type out there, if you're like anything that you're receiving, what's unrealistic is for us to be like, I know I got me no matter what type of information. I can move through it. I can figure out what's good for me and what's not good for me. I can align to what's something that's exciting me to want to grasp onto without there feeling like I'm less than, feeling like there's a lack of myself, feeling like I'm doing this in a deprivation state, feeling like I'm constraining myself to do it. But that's realistic. That's how we've been trained to do it. And so this like mini training I want us to I'm not going to talk anything nutrition. I'm not going to talk anything health. I'm going to talk about our standards. Because I truly do feel and believe and understand that the way that we hold ourselves and what we lead ourselves and the standards that we uphold every single day, that's what's going to guide us. That's an unrealistic way to say, I'm going to lose the weight, is I'm going to focus on the standards of who I'm being. But if I died today, my last words would be you contemplating and knowing yourself and walking with the standards every single day. That's what makes the difference. It's not about what's learning about the new thing out there, but I want you to know yourself so, so well that no matter what is the new thing or what somebody told you or what Instagram reel or Instagram, like, what are those, the slide things that say like 10 ways to lose weight or like eat this way or the toxins in this, like all the stuff that we see. I want you to be like, I know I'm the one. I can do that if I want to be doing that. And so it starts with, again, looking at, I want us to flesh out goal setting. I want us to flesh out the standards of how we show up. So there's a predictable way that you show up. And this is something that is ingrained in you that you don't really even have to think of. These are your habits. Is a predictable way of what you predictably know that if I didn't have to focus on it, I could do it. I'm good to go. I want us to look at predictable, possible, and potential in the way that we're going about things, and the way that we're embodying our health and wellness. And looking at, okay, what is the predictable way of, if I didn't even have to like change anything really, what's the predictable way of me showing up? And then what's possible is like, okay, maybe if I gave a little bit of focus, a little bit of presence, of a little bit of intentionality, what's possible? What's like, oh, maybe yes. Something that you can kind of see. You can see yourself making steps in alignment. You're like, I think I could do this. That's possible. And then potential. Potential is the big stuff. That's like, I don't know when or how I'd get there, but if I could get that, like, what's my potential? Like potentially I could get that at some point. This is where we give a little bit of oomph, a little bit of aliveness to our goal setting. Because we've cheapened goals very, very much, very much. Very, very much. We've cheapened it so badly. Like, think about truly, this is my like favorite analogy that I've ever heard about goal setting. It's like how cheap this feels. Let's say I replaced my promise in my vows with goals. What if my vows were goal related? Like, my goal is to love and honor you for the rest of my life. My goal is through sickness and in health. Every time I do this, I'm like, I should have just look up actual vows. My goal is to be with you from sickness and through health. My goal is to cherish you. My goal is to be the only one for you. These aren't my vows. How quickly would you put on, like if I was sitting there and if Ryan, my husband, told me those were his vows to me, my goal is to be with you through sickness and in health. My goal is to love you. I'd be like, I wish I had a pair of tennis shoes on right now so I could be a runaway bride. We've cheapened goal setting. Goals aren't bad though, but we need to zhuzh them up a little bit. We need to create some life to it, some life force that we actually believe in, and these promises that we're going to achieve them too. We have to like switch out how we look at goals. Instead of just saying, I'm going to lose weight. My goal is to lose weight. Your brain automatically thinks, where are my tennis shoes? I'm going to run away from this because she's not going to do it. Right? That's what's like crazy to me. And so what's been fun is looking at, instead of setting goals, it's just looking at, okay, what's predictable for me to achieve? I look at it in 3 different lenses usually. It's do, be, and have in life. And I talk about this in Invest in the Resolution Rebellion. And I'm also going to be talking about it in a new program as well too, called Halftime. So it's like, but that's near, you'll hear more information about that. But be, do, and have. So what's predictable that of a version of me that I'm going to be? That's like an easy, my kind of my default, my habits of how I show up. What's predictable in terms of let's view this through the context of health. Because right now with UNRealistic, this is a mini training on like healthy embodiment. So looking at it through health, what's predictable for me to be in health? Okay, it's predictable for me to insert where you currently are at. It's predictable for me to be drinking water. It's predictable for me to exercise a certain amount of times a week. It's predictable for me to be have more high energy days than low energy days. Okay. What's predictable? Then do. What's predictable for me to be doing in the context just of my health? Okay, it's easy for me to drink one of these a day. It's predictable for me how much to move your body. What's that look like for you? It's predictable for you to eat X, Y, and Z throughout the week. Like figure out what is your predictable way of doing something. That's like, it's not going to be hard. Because the reason why we want to create the predictable is I want you to know your baseline of where it's like, you know what? I effortlessly do have a gift, a focus, a strength in this area. Because I know I've talked with so many women where it's like the weight is just like the last thing. It's been the hardest thing. It's been the thing that they've been like wanting to achieve for so long and they haven't been able to do it. And they've been saying it to themselves, like every New Year's resolution is like, lose the weight, lose the weight, lose the weight. And every time around this year too, it's like, why didn't I lose the weight for summer? Why? You're like putting on your tank tops and you're like, oh my gosh, I know I was there. I did this. And so creating different focuses, it's not just then lose weight. We're going to have different focuses to really generate some momentum for us, generate motivation, generate the energy that we want to be consistently tapping into. Whether it's a good day or a bad day, it's like, okay, depending on what day it is, which one am I tapping into? Am I tapping into predictability? Am I tapping into possibility, or am I tapping into potentiality? I'll explain all that too. But the importance of understanding the predictability field, the predictability, who you're being, what you're doing, what you can have, what's predictable, is these are quick wins for you. This is also your foundation of when you are having a bad day, when you don't feel worthy, when you're questioning yourself, when you're feeling unseen, or when you feel burnt out, when you're lacking that energy, you have the predictable of like, okay, what can I lean back into? What's effortless for me? Where are my strengths? Because so much when we are having a day where our Our brain can just think and think and think of why we're not enough, why we're not worthy, what's like going on with us. It's so easy to fall into a spiral of you're not being good enough. And instead, what we now then create in your own environment, in the only way that you're doing something, is just saying, okay, let me lean back into just the foundations. Let's just hit this. This is my minimum, energetic minimum. Hello, Jill. I just see you popped on. And Denise, hello. So you have your energetic minimum that you can really lean into on the bad days. What is also really helpful when you're kind of viewing and contemplating what is predictable for me is to also understand where the predictable of not good is in your life as well too. Where do you predictably become short, become frustrated? Where do you predictably not show up when you say that you want to be showing up, when you're striving to work out a certain way or striving to achieve a certain thing? Where do you predictably stumble, right? All this stuff, I honestly believe that everything that we do, the good and the bad, has such a good intention. But we dismiss the good so easily. We're like, yeah. I should be like that. I should be like that. And then anything lower than the good, we're berating ourselves, we're blaming ourselves, we're shaming ourselves. Instead of saying, okay, all right, extract the good from it, extract the lesson, extract what you need to be learning here. Because once you can extract that and say, okay, predictably, this is how I show up, then you can start to say, okay, what's possible for me? When the predictability does happen where I don't show up, what's a possible way of me showing up? So now I want to transition to talk about the possibility aspect of things. So we have predictable, which is what you lean back into, these standards, those way of being that you just effortlessly, you don't have to think about it. And so we have our strengths and we also have our weaknesses too. And then the possibility realm, the possibility goals. What's possible for you to be, for you to do, for you to have in terms of your health, in terms of your focus on your wellness? What's possible? Dream like that. And just like, this is where you can kind of be like, okay, if I just gave a little bit of focus and intentionality and presence towards this, just a little bit of energy, what, I think I could do this. Like maybe yes. This is the realm that we're going to be spending the majority of our time in, this possibility realm. And this is where it's like, you get to look at your predictability of where you don't totally show up the best way. You're like, oh, I could, like, it's predictable for me to kind of skip workouts. Like I could, maybe it's possible for me to be a little bit more consistent. What I want us to do is make a list of the possibilities of what you want, who you want to become, what you want to have, be, do, have, and really craft out what's possible for you. And this is going to be your guiding force. This is going to be your lens of where you're going to be putting the most focus and intentionality for. And I'll explain why that's so important. But after I talk about potentiality. So I've been told I'm unrealistic. I've been told that I have rose-colored glasses on sometimes because I believe in unrealistic things. Potential. What's potential? What is in my heart right now that like I don't know how it could happen, when it could happen, but like, oh my gosh, if it did. How great would that be? I can touch that and believe in that. And I want you to be able to touch it and believe in it too. And you don't have to know when or how, nor should you, right? This potentiality goals of who you want to be, where you want to have in your life, who you want to become. We're not supposed to know directly how to get there, right? If you do, then it's not big enough. It's not, you're stifling your potential. So small. I want to make it big. You don't know how. That's the two criteria. You don't know how and you don't know when. But you're like, maybe, I don't know. And you hold those and then you just kind of, we don't have to think about them anymore. But feel them. Because what's going to start to happen is that when you have all these three fields, remember, we got predictable, don't have to think about it, it's just your habits, who you are, possibility, just giving a little bit of focus and presence towards there, potentiality. Because we want to be focusing on the possibility and creating possibility standards and upholding those standards. So looking at who you want to be, what you want to do, who you want to become, and making a list of, okay, what are the standards that uphold that possibility as my reality? What are the standards that I'm going to be living into every single day in terms of that possibility and those standards? And as that's our focus every single day, is how in alignment can I walk with that possibility? Because what's beautiful and what's amazing, what's really cool to see is that the more that we start to walk into that possibility, and through this journey, you're going to see when you win at that and also when you suck at it and you fail at it. And that's when you pivot and you learn and you pivot and you learn. But as you hold that possibility, it becomes predictable at some point. It just becomes who you are. It becomes easy. It becomes effortless. To hold what used to be possible is now your predictability. And when that happens, then it opens up, okay, what's possible now? What's possible now? And then that's where you are a different person. Once your possibility standards become your predictability standards, you are now a different person. And so your lens of life, your context of what you know you're capable of being, of what you're capable of doing, your context of your self-worth, your context of your confidence is different. There's a different lens. So then we can reach for more possible things. The possibility becomes bigger. And you almost kind of reach into the potentiality of like, ooh, maybe I can get a little bit closer there. And then you have these new possibility standards and you just focus on those. And that really is just like, it's coming to the now every single day. The now of, okay, what's possible right now? Just now, not thinking too far in the future, not thinking like I haven't gotten there as fast as I wanted to, because that's, remember, the potentiality, we don't know when, we don't know how. So us worrying about when and how, it's like a waste of our time, honestly. All we have to do is just look at, okay, what are the possibility standards that I'm upholding for myself, and how well am I walking in that? When we walk really well, we celebrate that. And when we have some missteps, we don't blame, shame, and fault ourselves. We don't look at ourselves any poorly. We don't think that we can't do it anymore. We learn, okay, what is there right here for me to kind of fine tune just a little bit, to pivot just a little bit? Where do I need to change my direction or my focus? That's the work. And then again, it's so cool to start to see the possibility then becomes the predictability, the predictable way of you being. And then it opens up more possibility. And then we keep doing that. We keep focusing on that, opening up more possibility, making that our predictability, focusing up, opening up our possibility, making our predictability. And then one day, because the possibility isn't aligned with the potentiality, it's just here. Your potential becomes your reality. And you're like, what the heck just happened? I don't know how I did that. I don't know when the moment was that I just became that version, but I'm her. I'm her. So this is where it's like the embodiment of an unrealistic version of yourself. It's not about knowing how all the time. It's more so knowing yourself, knowing where you get stuck, knowing like the predictable things of where you predictably show up in a way that you don't like to. And like, okay, what are the possibility ways of me? What are the possible standards for me to walk in alignment with and just hold myself here? And in that, you keep doing them consistently until they become predictable. Or if you're struggling with that, then you ask yourself, okay, what needs to change? Where am I falling back? This is where contemplation is so, so important. And I honestly, if we spent more time contemplating about ourselves and the reason why we do things or don't do things, we have everything like that. But we don't. because it's in contemplation that we feel like it's not, like, this isn't the effort. We don't feel like it's making the strides that we want to do, right? Because we're in this paradigm of needing to do, we want the results, versus you're going to tell me to sit here and journal about this stuff, Katy, and that's what's going to transform me. Yes. Yeah. For you to actually know yourself so well, for you to, this is unrealistic. It's unrealistic for me to say, okay, if you actually know and embody what you know in your heart is true for you, your strengths, your weaknesses, learning from there, pivoting, finding the information that you need to have, asking the questions, the right questions for you. It's unrealistic to be like, that's the path. But that is the path. I promise you that is the path, because like I said in the beginning of this, body image has been a thing that's been studied since 1980, seriously. But it's been a thing long before then. And so when we say it's an unrealistic body type, it's an unrealistic way of doing things, the thing is, that's been our reality. That's been our generations of reality. That's been my grandmother's reality. That's my mom's that's been my mom's reality. We look at images, we look at social comparison, we look at places that we're not enough, and we feel like we need to be doing something about it. We need to be changing the way that we do things, eat things, eat a different way, exercise a different way, shape our body in a different way, force ourselves, constrain ourselves, constrict ourselves. And yes, those are helpful things, right? But that's a micro problem. It is. You not like cooking, you not eating healthy, that's a micro problem, when the macro problem is actually understanding yourself deeper, to understand yourself of how do I get myself to do the things that I say that I really do want, but then I'm allowing stress to come into play. I'm allowing other priorities. I'm allowing myself to feel unworthy, to feel not confident. That's the macro problem. That's a huge problem. But we don't look at that because we're not told that that's the real problem. We're being sold quick fixes. We're being sold just go like this, and it's just putting us on a hamster wheel of buying new programs, exercising, trying on new clothes. Oh my. My something just started playing, like a Brendan Burchard old podcast. But this is where, again, it's unrealistic to believe in this way. That's what I'm claiming. That's what I'm standing for in this type of leadership, is that we can lead ourselves no matter what is thrown at us, no matter what next diet, next exercise thing that's given to us, no matter the information that we see. What's unrealistic is for us to say, like, I've got me no matter what. I've got me, and I know and I believe without a shadow of a doubt that I can do this, that I can have it. I can be it all, do it all, have it all. That's unrealistic. But I want us to be unrealistic. I want us to feel unrealistic and feel like, yes, yep. It's unrealistic because I am unrealistic, and having that much power in yourself, that much confidence, that much self-worth. That's what I'm standing for. All right. I'm afraid that podcast is going to pop back on. Last time I did a live, it was like Celine Dion came on. All right. Let me know if this was a helpful training. If you watch this, and just comment below like your favorite part, or if you have any questions, send me a direct message. Again, right now, if you want to pop in to UNRealistic, I'd love to have you. I really would. This is like, I'm so excited about this program, about the context of this. This is the remastered total transformation program that I've really done this more so with one-on-one coaching with women. And I'm excited to bring it into like this kind of, just with me being pregnant, of having like a group program with this, but then being able to tap in and answer Q&As and all this stuff. Potential spam call me. Also too, Yeah, no, that's all I have for you now. All right. I love you, and I hope some moment this week takes your breath away. Mwah.